Today on the channel, I'm going to be doing possibly my most requested video of all time, and that's me showing off my record collection. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new to the channel, hey. Like I said, today we're going to be showing off my record collection. I have about like 84 or 85 records I've inherited or bought myself over the past about 6 or 7 years. Aside from obviously playing music, collecting records and music memorabilia is absolutely one of my favorite hobbies. So whenever I'm out and about and I see a record and I have the funds to actually buy it, I try my best to take it home with me. So without further ado, let's just get started. Before we start, there's actually a few records that I don't have necessarily like with my collection because I use them as like wall art, but they still have the records in them and they're pretty much all original, so let me just show you those right quick. To start off, we have an original 1972 copy of Deep Purple's Machine Head. Then we have an original 1980 UK pressing of Blizzard of Oz, my favorite album. And then we have an original 1983 pressing of Quiet Riot's Mental Health, who I'll be seeing with Rat next month, which I'm very, very excited for. An original 1976 copy of Boston's debut album. And then we have both original copies of Ozzy's Diary of a Madman and Motley Crue's Theater of Pain. An original Second State Butcher cover of the Beatles' Yesterday and Today. An original 1983 pressing of Def Leppard's Pyromania. An original 1976 copy of Phantom Comes Alive. Probably one of the best Rush compilation albums, Rush Icon. And this classic Whitesnake's Slip of the Tongue. First record in my collection to start off is the 2021 remaster of AC/DC's High Voltage. My favorite era of AC/DC was the Bon Scott era. The next record in my collection is actually pretty fragile. This is an original 1977 copy of AC/DC's Let There Be Rock. I inherited this from a family member a couple years ago, and it is one of my favorites in my collection. And it's still sealed with the hype sticker, so that makes it even more better. The next record in my collection is Aerosmith's debut album, original from 1973. If I see a record out and about, I try my best to get the original copy and original pressing from the year it came out. But if I find the remastered version, I'll either get that and then I'll get the original, or vice versa. You never have too many copies. The next record in my collection is Aerosmith's Greatest Hits, which is actually a white colored vinyl, which is really cool. One of my favorites in my collection is Alice Cooper's Greatest Hits, still sealed with the promo sticker on it. It is absolutely incredible. This is possibly one of the greatest hits album of all time. I think most of my viewers will pretty much know what this is from, but this is the American Graffiti soundtrack. This is absolutely one of my favorite movies. It reminds me a whole lot of Days of Confused and like Fast Times and stuff like that. Incredible movie and an incredible soundtrack. The next one in my collection is Bad Company Straight Shooter, original from 1976. 75, my bad. The next one in my collection is one of my favorites in my collection, and it's original 1967 copy of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. The next one is obviously another one of my favorites, and it comes with the original booklet inside, Beatles' Magical Mystery Tour, original from 1967. And in the back of the sleeve, I put the single of All You Need Is Love and Baby You're a Rich Man inside too. The next Beatle record in my collection is one of my favorite double albums of all time, and that's the White Album. Next one in my collection is obviously Abbey Road. You can't not have this in your record collection. And the final Beatle record in my collection is Let It Be, but I plan on getting Revolver and Rubber Soul, trust me. My record shopping is not over at all. The next record in my collection is Glass Houses by Billy Joel. And then we have Emotions in Motion by Billy Squier. One of the greatest heavy metal albums of all time, Black Sabbath's Paranoid. One of my favorites in my collection is an original 1972 copy of Black Sabbath's Volume 4. The only thing I don't like about this record is you can tell it's been in contact with water and it's got a little water damage at the front of the cover, which makes it ripple, but still, it's original and it's Sabbath, so you can't go wrong there. And then the last Sabbath record in my collection is the incredibly underrated Sabotage. And then we have Bob Seger's Night Moves. Another one from Bob Seger, an incredible live album called Live Bullet. And this one and the record after this is in pretty rough shape, but this is an original copy of Boston's Don't Look Back. I don't know why there's like penny residue on here for some reason. It must have been like somebody's shack or something. This one's in rough condition too. I inherited this a few years ago. This is Cosmos Factory by CCR. The binding is about to fall off. Another record you can't not have in your collection is David Bowie, Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust, with the incredible Mick Ronson, and quite possibly the most iconic album cover in all of metal history, Dio's Holy Diver. So that's the end of the first section. Now on to the second section. One of the most overplayed albums of all time. Still a great album, but it is heavily played. Obviously, the iconic Eagles Hotel California. Then we have Eric Clapton's Backless, the most passive-aggressive, incredible, beautiful album, Fleetwood Mac Rumors. It is actually a gorgeous, clear glass vinyl, which is absolutely insane. Another one of my collections, actually like a very obscure soundtrack to the movie called FM. I've actually never seen this movie, but randomly walking in a record store. I just kind of was browsing around and I saw this, and it has Boston, Jimmy Buffett, Eagles, Bob Seger, Steve Miller Band. I mean, I had to get it. Those are all incredible bands, and I'm definitely going to have to watch that movie someday. Let me know in the comments if you've seen or heard of that movie. Next in the collection is Foghat, Fool for the City, great record. Then we have Foreigner, Double Vision, an incredible record. Another one by Foreigner is another classic, Head Games, which now reminds me of Cobra Kai now. Thanks, Johnny Lawrence. Another one in my collection, Heart, Little Queen with the incredible Nancy Wilson. One of my prized records and one of my favorite albums that I own is an original 1983 UK pressing of Iron Maiden's Peace of Mind. Then we have Jefferson Starship, Spitfire. The most iconic albums of all time, Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? And then we have this incredible masterpiece called Journey's Escape, which also comes in a gorgeous, beautiful glass vinyl. An original 1983 pressing of Journey's Frontiers. Original 1975 copy of Kiss Dressed to Kill, and an original 1976 copy of Rock and Roll Over. The classic Led Zeppelin 2, you can't not have this in your collection as well. Another one of my favorites in my collection is the original 1971 copy of Led Zeppelin 4. Then we have Lynyrd Skynyrd's debut album, my favorite Metallica album, the incredible Start a Thrash Metal album, Kill 'Em All. And then we have Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Injustice for All. These are all color vinyl, and these are all part of the Blackened label, even though I really wish I had the original pressings, which would be really awesome. And in section 2, we have Nazareth, Hair of the Dog, incredible record, and Molly Hatchet's Flirting with Disaster. Now we are on the third and final section of my entire record collection. I just rhymed. And to start with an absolute banger of an incredible, perfect album, my favorite album of all time, Blizzard of Oz. And of course, if you have Blizzard, in my case you have 2 copies of Blizzard, you gotta have, of course, Diary of a Madman in an incredible blue sparkle like marble finish, which I have an original copy of both. And then we have the incredible Bark of the Moon with the fantastic Jakey Lee, which is a deep blue color vinyl. I know you can barely see it, it's kind of stuck in there. The first actual record I bought with my own personal money, which is possibly my favorite grunge album, which is Pearl Jam 10. Next record we have is Peter Cetera, Solitude, Solitaire, which automatically makes me think of Karate Kid Part 2. Power just went out. Alrighty then, that was weird. I guess that's going in the video. The next one we have in our collection is another one you can't not have in your collection, and it's the incredible, one of the best prog albums of all time, Pink Floyd, The Dark Side of the Moon. One of my favorites in my collection, and it's in kind of rough shape, but it's an original 1977 copy of Queen, News of the World, and it has the actual gatefold somewhat in contact. I don't care what you say, if you like the 80s, you automatically have to love this album, and it's one of my favorite albums of all time. R.E.O. Speedwagon's High Infidelity, classic album. The next 2 records in my collection are Steppenwolf's debut album and Steppenwolf Live. The next record of my collection is a classic album, original from 1976, Steve Miller Band, Fly Like an Eagle. And of course, Steve Miller Band's greatest hits. And then next we have Stevie Nicks' Belladonna, which automatically makes me think of Edge of 17 and School of Rock. Next we have Ted Nugent's debut album, Original. This next record actually has a pretty crazy story. It's Van Halen's debut album with everything original in it. I actually got this at a random store somewhere. It was just like some shack, I think. And they were just selling records for about $1 because they were quote-unquote scratched. So I got this, Motley Crue's Theater of Pain, and R.E.O. Speedwagon's High Fidelity, all for $3. Absolute steal, and I feel bad for them, kind of. One of my favorite albums of all time, the incredible classic Who's Next? And then we have Venus and Mars by Wings, a very underrated Wings record. And finally, to end, ZZ Top Afterburner. They smell incredible. I love the smell of records. Thank you guys so much for joining and watching this video. Let me know what you guys think about my collection, and trust me, this is just the start of an unhealthy addiction of record collecting. I plan on having a very extensive, large, wide variety of different records I plan on getting pretty soon, and I will obviously keep you guys updated on what new records I get through my community. I have about 84 or 85 records, but if you include CDs, 8-tracks, cassettes, all that type of stuff, I have about like 202, 203 albums in total. This is nothing so far. I'm planning on getting a lot more. But I believe it is time to end the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe if you love everything rock and metal, everything for the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, etc. If you love everything retro and vintage, this is the right channel for you, and I will see you guys in the very next video. Bye-bye.